We have 10,000 reasons to talk about where the beast is. We have championship implications and just so much more. This is Steph and Cat Talk Wow.
Yeah, yeah. Making her way to the mic. They start dimming the lights. You start feeling alright. From Birmingham, home of the Teddy Longs and the Ruben Studders. More once you discover. For all of the lovers, Whitney Houston and Roman Reigns. For all of the lovers, and Mickey James and Marvin Gaye. For all of the lovers, and Sasha Banks, Janelle Monáe, Silk, Sonic, and Paige. Allow me to say, look, I just found a place, sweet escape. Every one of us, I was kinda late, so I just made it up the struggle bus. Walking by the fate, cause I know it's right in front of us. Yo, I ain't with the hate, gotta focus on.
Hey y'all, welcome to a new double dose episode of Steph and Cat Talk Wow, brought to you by the Hardy Wrestling Podcast and In Cat We Trust. Of course, I'm your girl Stephanie Hardy, host and creator of HWP, HWP Extra, and co-creator of this fabulous show that's before you on this Thursday evening. But of course, I'm not alone. I am with my fantabulous co-host and creator of this show. She is the creator of In Cat We Trust, the Women of Color in Wrestling panel seen in various Comic Cons. She is an accomplished and published author, and she's a super mom and backstage correspondent and any one of your favorite wrestling promotions in New York or New Jersey. She is Katrina in from oh my gosh, Katrina Blake, and I just got too excited saying her name, but y'all get the point. It's Katrina. How are you, Kat?
Hi, I'm okay. It's been a week, but I'm okay. Thank you for the fabulous intro as always.
Yes, and of course, if you're watching this show live, and of course, if you're going to watch it later on either one of our YouTube channels, you see Katrina has updated the background a bit. It doesn't look the way it used to, but of course, it still has that beautiful wow spirit about it with all of the colors and everything. So show love in the comments if you love all of the stuff that we are updating about the show, because of course, sometimes you just have to pop out and show people and let people know that you just have to update things and just keep things fresh while also maintaining the same spirit, and that is exactly what we're doing in this second season of Steph and Cat Talk Wow. Life has been lifing. The internet has been going out. I have done some traveling. Thank you guys so much for all of your love and support, as I traveled over next door to Atlanta, Georgia for Bad Blood, in Atlanta. And that was such an amazing event to be a part of, to be there for media and everything. It was so stellar. And I even had some wow girls even show me love when I posted about being there. So thank you guys so much. And of course, this will not be the last time you will see me doing media. But just thank you guys so much for the support and for all the love shown. And yeah, it's just been really busy. But of course, we are before you with a double dose episode. We're going to talk about the last two episodes of WOW Superheroes. Women's wrestling is where it's at, y'all. So the first episode is called 10,000 Reasons to Talk. And at the beginning of this episode, we had David McLane addressing the WOW audience and addressing the attack on the WOW World Champion, the Beast. And Sophia Lopez, the world's greatest attorney, has procured $10,000, which is a reward for whoever has information on who attacked the Beast. Now, even though me and Katrina have our inklings about who we think was behind the entire thing, a lot of people are still, trying to figure out what that mystery is. But it's really interesting that they upped the ante by adding money to the deal. $10,000. That's a lot of money. So, Katrina, what would you do with $10,000?
I mean, I have kitties, so I feel like my first thing would be something for them. I usually have a hard time buying stuff for myself, but my kitties always they always need something or something fun, maybe like vacay or something, and then probably save some of it because again, mom, like gotta make sure we got extra money. Just you never know. So that's probably what I would do.
Yeah, that's really smart. I feel like for me, I would either maybe save half of it and just have the other half of it up there for, life things or expenses. But then another part of me feels like maybe I should put all of that away so I can buy a house. That is something that I wouldn't mind doing at this point. In terms of like just something to have for myself, I would definitely buy a house to stay in, and probably, and if it comes down to it, probably help with a little bit of bills. But yeah, I would just buy a house somewhere in a very nice and comfortable neighborhood, and that would just be great. That's what I would do with $10,000. So yeah, if we can put our heads together, maybe we can figure it out, and they'll give us the money and we can split it and it'll be fine. But of course, with that episode starting with that, it also started with a warning from Siren the Voodoo Doll, who was looking in her dark cards and saying that, I've looked into my crystal ball, you see. The smile, the cheers, and many tears will fall, and an arm will break and a child will scream, and soon there will be no team. You see, with snip snails and puppy dog tails, I can't wait for them to see. Santana Garrett and Americana, you will want to see. So it seems like there's a bad omen that she is sort of putting or casting over the All American girls, which led into their match. But I feel like maybe, there are seeds being planted that she wasn't completely wrong about. So this, of course, fed into the first match of this episode. Chainsaw and Siren the Voodoo Doll versus the All American Girls, Americana and Santana Garrett. And Santana and Americana's chemistry was definitely on display in this match. Garrett actually tried to break and twist on Siren's arm, which is interesting considering Siren was talking about arms breaking. She could have been talking about her own. It was really interesting. Then Americana had a little bit of the same offense as Santana had going on. Santana actually hit a backflip splash onto Siren with double drop kicks to Chainsaw as they got their action underway with frequent tags. And it was just a really good back and forth match, very physical. But of course, Chainsaw and Siren, being the imposing and scary women they are, decided to double up on Santana with chokeouts, and spears, and of course, just beating on them with brute force. But there was a little bit of miscommunication on the part of Americana and Santana, and Angelica Dante got involved and knocked Santana off of the apron, and then Chainsaw chokeslammed Americana in order to win the match. So Chainsaw and Siren the Voodoo Doll came out with the victory, and there was a little bit of irritation on Americana's face, which gives the impression that all might not necessarily be well in the All American Girls camp. But this was a really good match. I enjoyed it. It was very physical. The All American Girls just continue to show why they were in contention for the tag titles before everything got messed up with the mother truckers and the money and stuff. But yeah, there might be trouble in paradise. So, Katrina, how did you feel about this tag team match and what Siren had to say before?
I guess I can semi understand what Siren was saying, just like a tad. But I think her and Chainsaw worked really well. Like I'm glad we're seeing you know Siren work more. I feel like before in like previous seasons, she wasn't wrestling as much. Like she might have just been there on the outside or doing stuff backstage, but she wasn't wrestling much. And I'm kind of glad that we're kind of seeing her wrestle more. I think that's kind of cool considering like you kind of already lost Holiday, and so it's just her and Chainsaw now, and is Angelina, right?
No,
Uh,
Angelica.
Angelica, sorry, my apologies. She's there, but she's not really wrestling, and so it's kind of nice to see Siren wrestling. Is kind of nice to see that. With that being said, I do think the All American Girls worked well to an extent, but this is what I kind of was saying, like when they did the basically gave up their spot. This may be an issue. Like even if it's with the best intentions, even if it was trying to be empathetic to the mother truckers' plight, even if it was trying to be a good person or per se, you guys had a title shot. And it's like that kind of went out the window, you know, because you helped somebody out. And like I said, not help anybody out, but you guys, if you worked for it, take the title shot. This is not even, it wouldn't, I feel like if they would have been upset with the All American girls for saying no, that would have been kind of, I would have to side eye that because they worked for their shot. And so to have that and then they lost their first match back up and, you know, after them basically giving away their title shot, I can understand why there may be some frustration. I think sometimes, you know, not that you need to be mean necessarily, but sometimes you got to be a little bit more firm uh and some choices you make. And I felt like that I said then I didn't think that was the right choice. And now I'm starting to, it feels like this might be that was might be the beginning of what might be some issues going forward. Just because, you know, they didn't get the desired. I'm sure they wanted to win and then maybe get back to the title picture because I'm not sure how they're going to do it now. Technically, they didn't lose a match, but they also gave it away. I don't know how WOW's going to handle that, but I do think that might have been the start of what could be some problems going forward. And as she seemed upset, it's very possible that that was just the catalyst for everything.
Yeah, it might have been the catalyst for everything. You do bring up an excellent point with them giving it up. It could have been sort of a bad omen for, where they could go from there because I mean, not a lot of people step down from getting a big opportunity like that. And those are titles that I don't think Americana has ever held before, but they did mention that Santana has held it before. So it's just, I'm pretty sure Americana feels away because it feels like every time she's in some type of title contention, somebody either messes it up or somehow she just winds up losing. So maybe she is getting a little bit frustrated with the trajectory of where her career is going in WoW. And I wouldn't mind seeing her sort of striking out on her own, but I don't want her and Santana to break up because it just seemed like just yesterday, Americana was getting into it with Jessie Jones, and they seemed like they were good friends until they weren't, and then they realized they weren't on, the same accord. And now Americana and Santana, who are so much alike, so much in sync as we saw in this match, them falling out would just be like really frustrating for me as a viewer and as a fan to see. But it's just, I guess it's just the ups and downs of partnership. You don't always get along with your person, and sometimes it can work out and sometimes it doesn't. But I'm just hoping, for the sake of happiness, that that all American girls can, work out their differences and find a way to support each other in the end. And of course, in the past we have seen Siren and Holiday. Well, not Siren and Holiday, I'm sorry. We've seen Siren and Chainsaw sort of wreak havoc on people like Crush and so many and Princess Aussie in the past. And it sort of messed them up a little bit and they've had to sort of get back to, where they stood. So maybe this is just one of those things where they'll have to, overpower the darkness. But as that happened backstage, we did get to see Samantha Smart talking to the class master. And it seemed like a very impassioned conversation on the part of Samantha Smart. Um, and even though they were surprised by something that may have taken place, they said that they should use it to propel them in the right direction, only for Samantha Smart to see the camera person and getting irritated with them and pushing them out of the locker room. So I wonder what that could entail. Like, there's a lot of agendas being pushed this season of WoW, and I just can't wait to see what happens next. So, this moves into match number 2, which is Genesis versus Foxxy Fierce, who of course comes out with her sister Roxy, and Roxy is on commentary with Nigel and David. And it's interesting, over the past few weeks we did witness the in-ring singles debut of Roxy, and she did a phenomenal job in her match, even though she wound up on the losing end. And now Foxy is here to fight Genesis, who is still here to try to prove herself as a solo competitor after the disillusion of Exile. There was a battle of strength between the two in the very beginning of the match. Foxy actually twisted into a roundhouse kick and an O'Connor roll and bumped to Genesis with a pin attempt. And it almost felt like, to a degree, that Genesis was trying to sort of um underestimate Foxy. But if it's one thing that Foxy has proven since she's been on WoW is that even though she isn't as experienced as someone like Genesis or any of the other WoW ladies who have been in the ring a lot longer, she is always working on her craft and working to defend herself against anyone of different wrestling backgrounds, and that was definitely on display here. Of course, Genesis actually locked Foxy into a full Nelson, but then Foxy actually reversed it and knocked her into a buckle bomb. Genesis tried to choke out Foxy by using her legs on the ropes, and it was just a great back and forth between these two women. As you can see in the picture, you have that flying leg drop that Genesis was planting on Foxy's back. And she even hit a backbreaker to her. It's kind of like a backstabber a la Mercedes Monet. But Foxy definitely fought back with a series of leg sweeps and a bicycle kick and a backsplash to Genesis. But eventually, Genesis got the upper hand over Foxy by locking her in a full Nelson and slamming her head into the turnbuckle multiple times and hit a clothesline onto her for the win. And after Genesis won and got the upper hand over Foxy, she cut a promo saying, "Oh, boo. You all can boo me if you want because guess what? I'm alone and I'm on top. You know, if there's one thing I've learned from my time in exile, is that exile is not just a group, it's a way of life. And this is just my new beginning. There will be no more losses in my new Genesis because I have something to prove, not only to myself, but to all of you, whether you like it or not." So Miss Ma'am is bouncing back from the last few losses that she's had, and she is, going forward with, a new Genesis, as she put it, a new beginning. So, Katrina, how did you feel about this match and the performance of both women as they fought to get the upper hand on each other?
I thought I actually really did enjoy this match. I love me some Foxy. She's good people, as I like to say. But it was kind of nice to see, like, because she was out for so long because of the situation with Chainsaw, she kind of had to get her way back and then kind of be there like with your sister, kind of just like, I think that's such a nice thing. Like not I don't wrestle, but I have sisters, and so like to kind of have you come back and you have like one of your close family members there, I think is an awesome thing. And so to have that, but then you also have Genesis, who I think is a fantastic wrestler as well. Kind of like, for a little bit there, she was kind of stuck in a place. Like, you lost your original leader. You tried to be the leader of a group without maybe doing so respectfully. And so you did that and wound up losing that as well. And so then not only was you losing that, then you lost, like, you guys lost the chance. Well, there was obviously some shenanigans involved when you guys had the trios, tournament. It was that, and then you lost a few matches. And so I can understand Genesis and kind of feeling like, okay, this is now what I need to do. It's kind of just like sometimes you got to like reset and refocus. And I think that's kind of what she was basically alluding to, which is fine. I kind of excited to see, like, I feel like she might have just reunited, some of her, passion for what she's trying to accomplish in WoW. And I think this was a good match to kind of showcase. Like, I always thought, like I said, she can wrestle very well. I think she's fantastic. I think she knows how to do really good, like, ground and pound if necessary as well. And she has that. It's just trying to figure out now what her place is, because she was part of a team. And so to kind of go from that to now you kind of standing, it's one of those, a few people already in WoW had to go through that process of kind of standing on your own away from a group. And so I'm excited to see what you do, but it also is always, it's like one of those, oh, you're kind of sad that it might have been a different outcome necessarily, but also still nice to see, again, Foxy, in the ring, because it's like, yay, we have her. She's been gone for a while, and so it's just me being extra, bias. Yay, see more Foxy Fierce in the ring. But I enjoyed the match.
Yeah, I did too. And Genesis really is, a really ground and pound wrestler. Like she's just, she just has the aggression in order to make it. The thing that sort of weirds me out about her is that sometimes she'll let, her mouth and her bravado sort of getting away a little bit, as we saw a few weeks ago when she faced off against Princess Aussie in the Battle of the Australians. And she just thought for sure she was going to beat her, but then she winds up losing to her again. And something that I appreciated is that even with in this match with Foxy, we didn't hear what Genesis had to say or hear that she was going to beat her before it actually happened. She just went out there and she did it and really didn't talk that much smack, and she just beat Foxy, even though of course we both feel our feelings about Foxy Fierce as two black women wanting to see black women thrive in wrestling. She beat Foxy fair and square and actually had to, adapt to facing someone like Foxy and had to break her down in order to win. And that's something that I can appreciate from Genesis as opposed to, how she was before. And with that type of attitude, I figure that, maybe she will go further and succeed as a singles competitor now. Now, when it comes to Foxy though, like I just feel like I just want to see her win more as well. Like I want her to possibly be WoW World Champion so bad, unless of course they make another title. Another singles mid card title for WoW. I'm not entirely sure how that would even work. But I do want to see her with some gold around her waist at some point. But or maybe even her and her sister could be tag champions and beat Miami Sweet Heat. That would be cool too. But she has definitely grown more and more in her abilities in wrestling, and I just can't wait to see how both of them will shine in terms of her and Genesis. But of course, Genesis got the upper hand here and won. So big ups to her for that, and big ups to her not letting herself get in her own way. So yeah. Now, after this match backstage, we did see the Fab Four walking with Lana Starr, and Lana had on this T-shirt that said "Stop being poor," and and as much as I cannot necessarily stand sentiments like that T-shirt just gagged the crap out of me when I was watching that episode. I was like, "Stop being poor," and I was just like, "Ma'am, that's really funny considering you were talking about how much the mother truckers needed to pay you back, but yet you want to tell people to stop being poor, ma'am. What are your finances like? As much as you were bragging about how good your credit score was and how you have an Amex with no limit, Miss Ma'am." What is your money like? And how are you wearing this t shirt? It was just hilarious. And I wrote in my notes, girl, it's not that simple to just stop being poor. It's not that simple, but we're trying. Okay. We're trying. We're trying to work our way up. Okay. We're trying. We really are. But, some of us are okay. We really are okay. So it was just really funny. Lana's fashions just catch me off guard all the time. So the Fab Four come to the WoW arena amongst all the people, and then Lana cuts a promo saying, "So those hillbillies had the genius idea of a double or nothing match, and I'm not out here to debate how smart they are or aren't. What I am out here to do is let them know I am one phone call away from calling my lawyer, who will sue them for everything they have." Which I'm sure isn't a lot. And I was just like, girl, why are you suing them? See, this is what I was talking about. It's like you're talking about people, not being poor, but then you want to get your money back from them so bad that you will actually sue them for it. And I'm just like, there's just too much suing going on. Like, leave the court out of it, please. Leave legal stuff out of it. Court drains you, from what I hear. I've never been to court, but I heard it's a very draining process. So let's not do this to the mother truckers. So Big Rig Betty and Holly Swag come out and respond to this, and Holly says, "Hold on there, pretty girl. You talking lawyers and lawsuits and stuff? I can't go back to jail. I got too many priors. Big Rig here will do your nails and do your hair or do whatever." And then Betty said, "You're the reason we're in this mess. Let me talk to this lady. I know little Swaggy here gets ahead of herself sometimes. I know I know you ain't got no kids and you don't know what it's like to raise these little varmints." And then she said, "I love you." Now listen, she was telling Holly Swag that she loves her even though she called her a varmint. And I was like, damn, that's funny. Now listen, I'm a woman of my word. Little Swaggy got me in this. She said double or nothing. You already know we ain't got no money, okay? Then Lana said, I just want to know how you're going to pay this off. And then Betty said, I can't do hair or nails. Listen, I know y'all got a big old mansion out there in the hills, and Swaggy and I will come and clean it. I just don't need to go to jail. And then Holly said, Big Rig is going to clean your house. Yes. And then Lana said, okay, if you can think of any other way, that's fine with me. But until then, I look forward to seeing you at the Fab Four mansion. And that includes you too, Holly. And so that was just really funny, a really hilarious exchange between them. And yeah, so now the mother truckers have to clean the Fab Four mansion. So Katrina, how do you feel about this arrangement and just everything that Big Rig Betty and Holly Swag had to say to the Fab Four?
I I feel like this again. This is one of those situations where sometimes you gotta just be like. I understand sometimes desperate situations require like desperate measures, but would you really want to deal with the Fab Four in that way? Like, would you want to unnecessarily deal with them? And I feel like this is not unnecessarily dealing. Like now look what happened. You got all this, and now you have to be, in a situation from people who took your titles, like, that got the titles from you. I feel like this is like I get like you can't help like the funds and we get it. It's like it's 2024. Everything is crazy expensive. I totally understand. But there's a level of like pride I think I have that I'm like, nah, there's not nothing that'll make me have to deal with this. Um, like just imagine that. Like you got like they're like I don't want to say like the home type people. Like you're on your house, you're in your farm, whatever. And then you have the Fab Four who have this idea that, well, we clearly better than anybody. And we have, well, they say they have money, but also Lana always seemed to be about getting her money. So I don't know. I mean, I respect making sure you get your money back or whatever, or making sure you have your funds, but it's like sometimes I'm like, sis, you a little too pressed. A little too pressed. But yeah, I feel like this is one of the situations that the mother trucker should have probably been like, nah, because now look, that one thing has you sink you in a whole bunch of nonsense. And so now here we are. And so I feel like just hopefully going forward, the mother truckers can be like, let's make better choices so we don't have to deal with this. Because it's like now you have to deal with them even like that's a lot. Like that's one thing I have to wrestle somewhere. There's a whole other thing that I might have to be in your I gotta be in your house now, your compound, if that's what I want to call it. Like, no, I want to deal with all that negativity. It's a negativity. Like, no, I want to deal with that. So I just hope going forward the mother truckers make better decisions. Like, please make better decisions.
Yeah, they do need to make better decisions because I mean, in the end, they could have just dropped off the bag at the hotel and just said, we're not Lana Star and call it, and then not have been at the hotel and used up the stuff that they had ordered and everything. Like they could have just not did that. They could have just dropped the bag off and just left. But now because of them fooling around, they're in this thing and now they have to pay the Fab Four back all of that money. And they didn't have to do that. But at the same time, you do have to be an adult about yours and take responsibility for what you've done. And I feel like if not for nothing, Big Rig Betty is teaching Holly that you do have to take responsibility for the crazy stuff that you do, whether it be positive or negative, with the outcome. And so with that being said, if them cleaning the house as negative as it is, with them cleaning the house, I mean, if that's going to be a way for them to pay it back, then hey, whatever. Um, I mean, because that's just the way the world works. You can't just use stuff with other people and then just think you're just going to get away with it. And if they don't want to go back to jail, then that's just how it has to be. But then another part of me wonders, since they are also truck drivers, I've heard truck drivers make good money. So how is it that they're not able to pay it back? Or am I thinking too hard?
No, supposedly some of them do make a lot of money. And maybe I don't know. Supposedly, some of them do make a lot of money.
Yeah, I feel like truck drivers live fairly comfortable lives. So for the life of me, a part of me is just like, how come y'all ain't got that money though? But let me just stay out their business. Let me not be like Capital One and be like, what's in your wallet? No, let's be quiet. Um, So hopefully they can figure that out. So this leads us to our main event, or what we thought was going to be the main event, which was Jessie Jones versus the Beast for the Wild World Championship, which irritated me because the last time we were together on Steph and Cat Talk Wow, I talked about how Jessie Jones just keeps trying to fandangle her way into the title picture with all these arbitrary stats or whatnot, trying to make it seem like she's just supposed to be the rightful person all the time, all of the above, blah, blah, blah. And here she is with this, chance even after Penelope. Well, hold on, we'll get to that. But yeah, it was just really interesting how that happened, how now she has this title match that we thought was going to happen. And of course, we get a big pop from the Beast because we have not seen the Wild World Champion since this new season has started with the new stage and everything. And her Tron and all of the colors and everything for the Beast looked so cute. But she didn't come out. It was really weird. She did not come out. And after she didn't come out, Jessie Jones cut a promo saying, "Of course she isn't. Where is the Beast? I'd love to know that. But you know what? I think I already do. I think she knows if she faces me, she's going to lose. And I think she'd rather forfeit. This is ridiculous, David. You know I ain't got nothing to do with this. Should, she should be forfeited that belt and it should be handed over to me." And then David Mack said, "I agree with the fans here. There's no way the belt's just going to be handed over. This is uncharacteristic of the Beast not to be here. There could have been an auto accident on the 405. Who knows? We're going to look into where the Beast is." Then Jessie Jones responds, "No, this is the second time. She's scared. It's my spot. Two losses, two forfeits. You're gonna allow a champion to be a champion and just not show up? What kind of honor or pride is in that, David?" Then David responded by saying, "We're not going to forfeit the match and just hand over the championship." Um, and then Jesse said, "Don't nobody deserve the world title more than me." And guess who interrupts her? Stand up. It's Pink. Penelope Pink comes out, my arch nemesis. And she comes out, and Lana has changed shirts, and her t-shirt says, "It's not me, it's you." And I feel like I like that shirt a lot better than the one about not being poor, because it's just better, okay? And Penelope Pink and Jessie Jones get into a war of words that we have not yet seen since we've been covering WoW. So Penelope said, "So let me get this right, Jessie Jones. Let me get this right. The last time the Beast came out here, she got a Jack Daniels bottle to the back of the head against you. Hmm. And now here she is again, but yet she's not here, and yet you are. I find it a little ironic that you're here claiming that no one deserves it more than you, when clearly everybody here knows that the best damn thing WoW's ever seen is me. Plus, I'm the rightful number one contender, like I was about to say." Jesse then responds by saying, "First off, that wasn't Jack Daniels. That bourbon was made in Bardstown, Kentucky, so it's actually good. But here's the thing, it wasn't Sir Davis, so I don't want to hear nothing about it." Um, so Penelope said, "Whatever, it was cheap." And Jesse said, "As your feather boa falls apart, everything about you and Lana is cheap." Then Abilene Maverick music hits. So me and Katrina's arch nemesis are all out here, you know, with stuff to say. Then Penelope said, "This your friend Crutchy over here?" And then Jesse said, "She ain't my friend." And I thought that was real interesting that she would say that, considering they was working together for a minute. Um, then David decides to book Jesse Jones versus Penelope Pink in the place of the Beast not showing up for the number one contendership. And then, of course, as the commercial came back, they announced another match that was happening that we will be able to cover, that we will be covering later on tonight. Then the referee checked for weapons, and both girls had brass knuckles and a flask. And you know who had the flask? Jessie Jones had the flask, and Penelope had the brass knuckles. So both these ladies are bad, trying to cheat, whatever. The girls were tussling with each other's hair, testing each other's strength, and just kicking each other with boots to the midsection. This was definitely like more like a brawling fight because even though Jessie Jones is technically sound, and so is Penelope Pink, they will definitely brawl with you and knock you down with different like punches and clubbing blows and all of the above. And that's what was going on in this match. Penelope Pink got tripped into a drop toe hold by Jessie Jones, and they were just utilizing all kinds of dirty tactics in order to try to one up each other. It was just definitely like a heel versus heel dynamic. At one point, Penelope Pink even hit the photo op onto Jessie Jones on the ropes, and then Lana Starr tried to get involved, and then she kicked her off the apron. Um, Penelope gave Jessie a V trigger knee, but then Jessie kicked out. They both head butted each other. Jessie and Penelope went for illegal pins by pulling each other's trunks, but the referees actually saw it this time, and that was really funny. But then eventually, Jessie Jones tried to lock Pink in the Southern Discomfort submission, and she was tapping, but the ref didn't see it because Lana Stark got back up and distracted, and then Abilene left commentary to try to hit Penelope Pink in the head with her crutch, only for Penelope to be smart enough to duck, and she wound up hitting Jessie with the crutch, and Penelope Pink took advantage and won the match. So Penelope Pink is now officially the rightful number one contender to the Wild World Championship, if the Beast is ever found. And that was how that episode ended. And it was really hilarious, how that happened because Jessie was like, Abilene ain't my friend. But then she tried to help you, but then Penelope was just too smart and she just moved out of the way. So this partnership between Abilene and Jessie is just very weird to say the least. So, Katrina, how did you feel about this match turning into Jessie versus Penelope? And how did you feel about both of them fighting each other and with the way that everything turned out?
Well, Jessie did kind of put herself in it. She put herself in it with regard to, oh, I deserve XYZ. And so, well, I know you don't particularly, care so much about Miss Penelope, but even with, Lana doing some of the shenanigans, because she was doing some shenanigans and whatnot, it's one of those like, okay, she won it. And while I know it's kind of like Penelope has had a few opportunities as well to become the champion again, because she has. It's like, Jessie, see what happens when you try to do, nonsense. Like, you see how this plays out. It's one of those, sucks to be you. Now, I don't know where the Beast is. I was like, whoa, 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 what is this? They're gonna stop playing around with me and the Beast. I feel like she was gone. That a good she had to lose it, finally get it back, and now she MIA. Y'all gonna stop these shenanigans? Because clearly y'all doing some shenanigans. I don't particularly like that. Let her thrive as a champion like she's supposed to. That's Gearguard. I'm like, y'all clearly are doing some convoluted stuff. This is why she missed it, because I don't feel like she would miss a title match. I don't feel like I don't get that vibe, unlike somebody else who would try to hide from doing a title match. That sounds like somebody else, but not her. So I thought the match was good itself. And it was one of those like, well, let's just kind of see who's the better of the two. And while Lana was involved, because she was, Penelope didn't win. And so it's like, whenever the Beast is found and we can find out what's going on, now it's going to be the Beast and Penelope Pink again. Do I think to be sure that David better make sure that it's just Penelope? Yes. I'm going to be highly, highly annoyed after seeing Penelope win the title before cleanly that you have, because Lana interfered and got kind of the reason why Miami Sweet got the titles back as well. So let's not do that. Let's not do that. I feel like, David, let's get that together. Let's do better. Let's get that on point before this matchup has to happen. You get it on point. They need to be away. No involvement. Let Penelope do it cleanly. If she's going to win it, let her win it cleanly. Then I can be like, all right. And I like Penelope, but let's call a spade a spade. I don't know shenanigans. Not when it comes to the Beast, because they've been doing it too much. It's too much shenanigans for me personally. But yeah, otherwise, good match.
Yeah, and here again, the thing about Jessie that blows my mind the most is that for someone who has so much bravado here again and so much to say about what they have accomplished or whatever, it's almost like a form of self-sabotage. It's like she attaches herself to people who will ultimately hold her back because they will use her for their own gain, and then they'll jump ahead of her to get the title, just because she wants to get a one up on them because she's moving out of spite. And it's just like, Jesse, either you're going to truly go for the title of your own strength or you're just going to choose to just play underhanded. And she's been doing that ever since her and Americana fell out and then her and Amber O'Neal got back together. They were all just being, just really underhanded. So the idea of her choosing to be underhanded over the glory of her being a champion is just really annoying. Like, it's just really aggravating for me because I'm just like, girl, you are a WoW OG. Why are you trying to use all these negative tactics and all these little loopholes to try to get the title and not have to truly fight for it when by all means you could have? It's just really frustrating for me to just watch her, do this to herself. And then with her hooking up with Abilene Maverick, it ultimately cost her the contendership that she would have had if the Beast wasn't missing. And it's just like, ma'am, you really did bring all this on yourself. And I don't know if it's because you really aren't fully focused or you just feel like you are obligated to this stuff or whatever, but it's just really ridiculous at this point. So now Penelope Pink is here and she has a chance at the title. And of course, with Lana Starr trying so hard to get all the titles back on her mantle again, it's just really weird how it could happen because we've seen the Fab Four, use underhanded tactics to break down the Beast so Penelope could be champion again. And it was very extreme because, of course, Vicky Lynn McCoy wound up attacking her after she recovered from an injury, and then she had to give up the title in that way, and then Penelope won it at LA Comic Con. So it's just kind of like, so is the Fab Four gonna, are they the ones who have the Beast locked up somehow? Like, it's just really weird how all of this could be happening, how so many plans could be in motion, and how so many people could be behind it. But at the same time, Jessie here again is to the back of the line, and I think maybe this will be good for her to just stay back there so she could just reevaluate her life because it's just not going well. So that was the end of that episode. And before we get to the second episode, there is something related to WoW that I do want to talk about that I have been doing. Um, so WoW did announce that they do currently have a 24/7 WoW network on Pluto TV, and then they also have one on Samsung television as well. So I've been watching it a little bit, and one of the best parts for me from an emotional standpoint and also just from a wrestling fan standpoint is seeing all the women that have been a few years. And you know how Lana was talking about how Penelope Pink was her protege, right? Guess who was her protege before that? Do
Who?
you know?
No.
It was Faith the Lioness, who we currently know now as NXT's Nikita Lyons. And seeing that and hearing that on an older episode of WoW was just mind blowing because, of course, we see Lana Star with all of her pink and stuff. But then you have, Faith the Lioness, who was dressed up in all gold and she was beautiful with all of her blonde hair and everything. And it was just kind of like, oh my God, I can't believe that she was your protege before Penelope Pink was. And it almost feels like Penelope Pink was almost better suited to be her protege because she seems like the whole glamour pink girl. And that's not to say that Faith the Lioness wasn't, but at the same time, to see Nikita Lyons in that way and in that form was just really interesting. And it was ironic considering she did make her return on NXT this past Tuesday in St. Louis, and now she'll be fighting Lola Vice. So I thought that was really interesting. It was also beautiful to see Alicia Edwards from TNA on there as Sassy Massey. I think that was her name. So just going back in time and just seeing all the women that have been on the show who have gone on to do big things since then, it's just really emotional to a degree. And it's also really beautiful to just see how WoW has grown, from where it once was till now. Like, it's just really interesting. But I do recommend, watching the 24-hour WoW channel, if you want to just go back in time and just see a number of the matches and the women that they have had on there in the past. It's really amazing, and it's on for 24 hours, so you can't really miss anything. You don't really miss anything. They even have the more recent episodes that they've done over the past few years. So it's just really cool to just sit and watch, and it's just really heartwarming. And I just love it because so many of these women have gone on to do such greater things and will continue to do so. So, yeah, it was very heartwarming. So, moving into the next episode called Jesse's Speaking about Jessie Jones. The show started with David McLane and Nigel Zane, and David gave an update on the Beast and said that he had spoken to her and she confirmed that she is safe and needed more time to assess herself after the attack that happened last season. And of course they get interrupted by Jessie Jones, and Jesse says, "Don't look at me like that, David. You don't even know why I'm out here." And David Mack said, "I got the money. I want the information." And Jesse said, "You know what? I happen to remember something about that bottle of bourbon Abilene had given me. I left it in my locker room and I came back and it was missing. Now, you ought to know me better than that, David. I ain't going to waste a good bottle of bourbon on no bimbo on the side of the ring." And I was like, "So you're just going to call Abilene Maverick a bimbo? God dang. I know she's gorgeous and she looks like a Vegas smoke show, but you do not have to call her a bimbo." That was so rude. Um, and then she said, "But I did notice something kind of funny and someone kind of suspicious in the hallway." And David said, "You know the assailant?" And Jesse said, "Oh, yeah, like I'm going to tell you. Let me tell you this. You give me that money and you bring it to me, then I'll give you all the information that I have. Until then, I believe we're done. Do we have a deal?" And David Mack said, I'll tell you what, Jesse Jones, we have a deal." So, in the midst of this deal being made, this leads us into match number one, which was for the Wild Trios Tag Team Championships with Keta Rush and the Mighty Mites versus Top Tier. And Crush and Spice started off the match. And here again, this is another instance where Crush almost tried to underestimate Spice, but Spice came in hot, no pun intended. And she caught Crush off guard with a lower offense and trying to sort of, take advantage of her. And she was sort of moving back and forth like Eddie Gordo from Tekken. It was really interesting to kind of see a person do that type of movement. And then Crush pushed her away. But then Spice went aerial with head scissors and a knee to the face of Crush 3 times. Then Sugar and Spice both tagged in and hit a double drop toe hold to Crush, and they hit cartwheel splashes onto her for a 2 count. So Crush was so caught off guard by this that she tagged Coach Campanelli, but they wound up getting knocked down by Sugar with another set of head scissors. Then Keta Rush wound up attacking Gloria Glitter with a drop kick and head scissors and a monkey flip. And then Keta would tag in Spice, and she got clotheslined by Gloria. And Gloria wound up using a lot of brute force and her stair stepper to get the upper hand in the match. And of course, Top Tier were using their frequent tags and isolation tactics to keep Spice away from her corner. Then Crush would add more insult to injury. Then Sugar was able to fight off Gloria Glitter and Crush with chops and a side headlock takeover and a bulldog. And Coach Campanelli here again broke the count, but finally they wound up winning with Gloria Glitter hitting a code breaker to Sugar and Coach and Crush executing the bottom tier finisher to retain their WOW Trios Tag Team Championships. But this match was absolutely fantastic. I enjoyed it. As you can see, there was a lot of high flying on the part of the Mighty Mites and Keta Rush. Their chemistry was off the charts as we've seen them team with each other before in the trios tournament before the titles existed. But of course, Top Tier are holding on to those titles for dear life now. And Coach Campanelli cut a promo saying, well, 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 look, wait, looks like we're still WOW World Trios Tag Team Champions. You know what, David McLane? It doesn't matter who you match us up with or who challenges us, because this is why I created Top Tier. Each of us exemplifies excellence in being a superior athlete. And for once, Coach Campanelli actually let the other team members speak. So, Crush said, that's right, we are greatness personified. We have speed, strength, and smarts. Then Gloria chimed in, we are the greatest team in all of professional wrestling, and you can't sweat with us. And Coach then led them by saying, that's because we're top tier. So, Katrina, how did you feel about this trios tag team title match and um, Keita Rush and the Mighty Mites being a team together?
I thought the match was good. I thought it was like a lot of fun, like fun spots in regards to like not what happened necessarily, but like fun as in like you can kind of see how well they were working together. With that being said, I was not surprised that top tier retained. When I did speak to Crush and Coach, they made it very clear that they were gonna basically not only elevate but do whatever they could to keep on to those titles. And so I didn't think they would lose. I was surprised about them allow Coach kind of having the other girlies have some words, because I was like, oh, normally it's what Coach says. Coach knows best, etc., etc. And so I'm like, oh, you letting them speak now, which is good. But like, I'm like curious, like, because how she felt Ariel Sky overstepped by adding people. Are you gonna feel like they may overstep if they talk a little too much? If they say maybe a little too much of the wrong thing? And I feel like that's maybe opening the door for that again. So we'll see. I did remember asking them, was they worried about any discord again, or any group in general? You have more than one person as personalities, and there's a possibility for some, this is not, we're not on the same page. It's possible with anybody in general, but in a group that's supposed to be like, together, it's very different sometimes. And so I thought the match was good, but I was like, okay, noticing, just putting kind of following that in my head there. Because like it is very possible that again, some level of freedom can maybe cause some problems. This is something I did say to them, to be fair. So about having some problems within the group, because humans are not going to always agree. But also when you have one person kind of like, it's all my way or the highway, that may be a problem. Even if you are appreciative of their services getting you to a spot, you might not necessarily like that all in the long run. So we'll see. But I thought the match was great.
Yeah, the match was good. And seeing Coach kind of learn from her mistakes was just kind of a new level of growth, for someone who is very self-centered to a degree. So watching her actually give them the chance to talk was like, this is refreshing, and I actually appreciated that, because top tier, really is, a great machine, and they move well because of all three of them, and not just because of the leadership of one person sort of being above the other two. And I'm glad that Coach has actually learned that lesson now, and she's actually letting them have their own voices and actually contribute. So I appreciate that. And I wasn't too surprised that they retained, but I would have been hella excited if Keta and the Mighty Mice did win, though, because they were really cool. And it's like I've said before, the Mighty Mites are one of my favorite tag teams in WoW right now. So the idea that they were trying so hard, and were very spirited in their offense, which was really cool. So I wouldn't mind it if they won, but top tier, they just have a stranglehold. And of course, like Katrina was alluding to with her interview with Crush and Coach Campanelli, please go back and watch that on her channel if you have not already, and watch all of our other interviews that we've done with the other WoW girls as well. So yeah, like it's just really cool to see them sort of walk in their confidence or arrogance, depending on who you are, as a trios team and as the first ever champions as well. So, they are rising, and hopefully, more contenders will come up and challenge them so they can, get their stuff together. So, Moving into match number two, which was kind of sad to see. Speaking of coach and everything, we had Reina Del Rey making her first appearance in season three of WoW Superheroes, along with Adriana Gambino versus Pep Riley. And as it stands now, Pep Riley is the only member of Team Spirit left. And this was kind of sad to hear because, Team Spirit was a huge part of WoW at first. And now for Pep to sort of be the only one left behind, it's just kind of like, yeah, dang. But, that's just, I guess, how it went. And that's just how things are now. So, big ups to the other girls and whatever it is they're doing in their wrestling careers or in other ventures. But we do have the return of Adriana Gambino, who we didn't really see wrestle all too much in the second half in the last half of season two, but now she's sort of um in the background being a manager for Reina Del Rey. But I thought this was interesting considering the last time we saw Adriana in the ring and she was beating everybody. She
Because I'm
was
undefeated.
I don't understand. So with her being so undefeated, how in the world is she, being a manager? But we'll figure that out later. So Reina Del Rey proceeded to intimidate Pep Riley in the first part of the match, jumping at her, yelling at her, saying, "You scared? Are you scared?" I mean, because there was clearly a size difference between the two. Pep actually pushed Reina Del Rey a little bit and went for a crossbody, but then she got caught in midair by Reina. Reina actually was curling Pep like a weight, and I was just like, that is just so sad. And then she placed her on the top turnbuckle and patted her head like she was a doll. Like she was playing with Pep Riley like she was like a toy. And I was just like, that's just real rude. Then she smacked her in the chest afterward. And then Pep kicked Reina, but then Reina wound up catching it and, shoved her backwards again. And then she was saying that this match was too easy. And then she took a forearm to Pep and then stepped on her back and threw her head against the turnbuckle. Pep tried to escape the electric chair slam that Reina was trying to execute, and she gave a back handspring into Reina Del Rey's arms. And then she got tossed into the corner. So let me just say that this match was it was very one-sided. Very, very one-sided. And it just sucked. It was definitely giving Monstars versus Toon Squad. It really was. Until of course the Toon Squad wound up winning because they had Michael Jordan on their side. But this wasn't the case here. There wasn't a stretch that could save Pep Riley. Reina Del Rey clubbed Pep with a Northern Lights lariat and wound up winning the match. So yeah, you hate to see it, but Pep Riley got squished here. It was so sad. So after the match happened, Adriana Gambino cut a promo saying, "If there's one thing that I learned from my father in business, it's the importance of family and keeping your circle small. You have to earn a seat at my table. I'm always looking for people to create a strong crew to surround myself with who will do anything I say, no questions asked. Because loyalty makes you family. And I'm sure you're all very familiar with Reina Del Rey by now. She has more than proven herself loyal to me, and I appreciate it. But I'm looking to expand a little bit. So I would like to take this opportunity to introduce the newest members of the Alliance, the Brat Pack, Gigi Gianni and BK Rhythm. Individually, we are strong, but together we are unstoppable. We are setting the rules. This is a shout out to the whole locker room. We are putting you on notice. Consider this your warning from the Alliance." So now we have a new faction in WoW created by Adriana of the strongest variety here. You have the strong and audacious Reina Del Rey. You have the rapping and bravado having BK Rhythm, and then you have the fabulous Gigi Gianni. And what's so funny is when we first started covering WoW, Gigi Gianni and Adriana Gambino were a tag team. So the idea of them being back together in this form was just really interesting and very satisfying to my brain, in a very full circle way. So now we have the alliance, and yeah, it's interesting. So, Katrina, how did you feel about the match between Reina Del Rey and Pep Riley and the creation of the alliance?
I thought the match was decent, but like you said, it was very one sided. I don't think Pep Riley had a chance at all. I think she tried, she did very hard. Personally, and I respect the person who's like, you know what, this might be a bit of a battle, but I'm gonna do it. But girl, no chance whatsoever. It's it's so it's so unfortunate because like she tried very hard um to go through this matchup without maybe some kind of like real offense, but she didn't even get to have that, and so it's unfortunate. But as far as Adrian, I think I'm a little confused only because you are undefeated. Why are you now focusing your attention? And I'm not saying you shouldn't have a squad. I think sometimes having a squad, especially with how some things go down and you know in WoW, makes sense. But shouldn't you be like, girl, did you just move away from the one in the title? She seemed like she wanted that, and now she's like, nah, I'm fine. Like I don't know. Um, and so I'm a little bit like confused on that regard. Like I think it's smart in regards to, again, you have the Fab Four. You have little people sometimes where there's some kind of, yeah, top tier. You have some squads there, and I do think it's smart. But I am curious as to why she was just like, I can do this right now. Like, girl, you was undefeated. Like, why are you not focusing on that part of your career right now? And that's weird to me. But otherwise, the match is what it was for like I said, poor Pep. She tried very hard. It just wasn't her. It just wasn't for her that much, and it's okay to accept that sometimes this is not it. And I think those were one of those moments where it was like, oh, okay, that's tough.
Yeah, it was really sad. And like you said, I do appreciate the fact that Pep was still gonna try. Because at least some people actually do try in life. There are some people who just don't try at all, okay? And at least Pep went into it, and actually tried her very best, even though it just wasn't good enough against someone as imposing as Reina Del Rey. And I hated that Reina just thought that everything was just going to be easy and all of the above, which it was to a degree, but at the same time, it was just really disrespectful for her to just treat Pep like a toy to just play with. It was just really sad. But, in the midst of everything, I do appreciate the fact that you mentioned that, in the midst of Adriana Gambino being undefeated last season and stuff, and wanting to go for the title, and now she just isn't anymore. That is kind of sad because by all means you could argue that she actually has more of a leg in the title picture than Penelope and then Jessie Jones at this point. To be honest, like she has, and Adriana, and not Adriana, but and Abilene Maverick. Like you could definitely argue that she could have more of a leg in the title picture with it. But I guess maybe she just shifted her focus a bit because she was gone a bit and stuff towards like the last half of season 2. So I guess maybe she just wanted to focus on other things and build a family. And for all we know, her way of building this new family could be a way for her to get the title. It may be a little bit of a detour, but it might still go in the same direction. So, um I'm here for it because it can't just be only the Fab Four being, the dastardly four woman group that's just taking over everything. Like if it's the alliance too, then I'm definitely here for it. And considering the Brat Pack is a established tag team at this point, if they got the tag titles, Adriana, were to go for the world title at some point, then that would be lit. And then, if they wanted to go after the trios, even though I know that's a whole lot of gold and that's like a for a woman power trip, that would still be cool. They would take over WoW in that way, and that would just be interesting. But we just got to wait and see how it turns out. But I thought this was a really unique way of introducing a new group. So, hey, I like it. It's cool. So, I guess that's really what they were cooking up when they were in that room that one time and they made them shut the door. So, haha, the alliance is here and it's cool. So, match number three, we have Fury, the heavy metal sister, going up against the Island Girl Kalaki, who is one of the newer WoW superheroes this season. And something that I really loved in watching this show is hearing the theme song of Kalaki because she's from Hawaii, and just hearing her theme song was just very islandy and very happy. And I was just like, I love this song. I need it in my ears every day. It makes me feel like I should be on my brain should just be on vacation. It felt like listening to Janelle Monáe's The Age of Pleasure, where you're just feeling like you're listening to vacation type music and you should just have some wine and you should just be dancing and just, enjoying life and the vibes and whatever. So I just love that. And of course, this was their first time fighting in WoW. Now, of course, they might have fought each other, outside of WoW. But for now, when it comes to WoW programming, this is their first time fighting each other. They were dancing at each other a little bit. It was kind of nice to see Fury shaking her hips a little bit. We always see her head banging. Let's see them hips move too. So, oh my God, that sounded funny. But anyway, they had a headlock battle between each other, and there was a series of arm drags from Kalaki to Fury that kind of shook up Fury a little bit. But then Fury hit a flatliner and locked in, and locked in a little bit onto Kalaki. But then Kalaki actually slid underneath, I guess you could. Well, she slid underneath to escape a camel clutch that Fury had going on, and then she tripped up Fury and proceeded to give her the surfboard submission, which is like one of my favorite things because I'm just like, hey, she has that swag surf, so let's do it. So it was just really cool to see her get the upper hand on Fury in this way. But Fury wanted to choke out Kalaki, but then Kalaki gave a dropkick series and a flipping slam in order to get a two count. And then Kalaki missed a senton leg drop that looked absolutely beautiful, but then Fury wound up getting the upper hand with a schoolgirl roll up pin, and Fury just wound up getting the upper hand in that way, and Fury won the match. But I love watching the action of Kalaki, the Island Girl, because she's just so vibrant in the ring, and she's just so quick. And even though she'll break you down, she's still very much, adept to wrestling in her way. And I just really love watching her wrestle, even outside of WoW too. So this was a good match. Fury was definitely game for it, and I was just glad to see her fighting in singles action. So Katrina, how did you feel about this one-on-one match between Fury and Kalaki the Island Girl?
I thought it was a good match. I definitely have been enjoying like Kalaki doing her thing as a new WoW person, like a new woman added to the locker room. And I did think it was a nice little change to see Fury dance just tag. I was like, okay, all right, sis, be versatile, love versatility, gotta be in everywhere. I'm all about that life, gotta make sure you know a few things. And so I was like, okay, sis, I peeped. I did think this was a good match. I thought both women really kind of put it out there. And like I'm not sure if it means we're not, because I feel like Fury last couple of matches she was solo and not with Rebel Haze, and so I'm not sure if there's something going on in that regard. But it is still nice because I thought we kind of like, I want to say maybe early season 2, we thought that Fury was kind of getting her solo run, and all of a sudden she was with a tag partner. And so I don't know if this is them reuniting the singles road for Fury, but I thought if this is, she won. So that's a nice way to prove that I can do stuff on my own as well. Like, and this is like nothing. I do think she does well with Rebel Haze. I think it's like they work well together. I really do. But I thought she was kind of focusing on a solo run. And so it was kind of weird at first to be like, oh, I guess not, But if this is like the go back to being kind of solo, I think this was a nice way to do it. I think she, and this wasn't like a really rude match, or it wasn't anything where it was extra petty. It was just they fought, and the better woman in the case won, which was Fury. And so I thought it was a good match. I thought it was a fun match, and I'm interested to see not only if Fury is really going down the singles route, what the path will be, but also to see more of Kalaki because she's cool.
Yeah, I'm interested in seeing Fury kind of go down the singles route too, because I do think it is interesting that we haven't seen Rebel Hayes yet. I don't know, what's happening with that. But at the same time, seeing Fury, fight on her own is refreshing to a degree, and seeing her fight someone new in the form of Kalaki is very refreshing as well. And that's what this match gave. It was just a very refreshing match to watch. And the fact that Fury got the upper hand, and she could very well work her way up, the card and everything was just really cool too. So I enjoyed this match very much. It was shorter than what I was expecting, but it was still really good. And I just can't wait to see more of what Kalaki has in store for us this season because Miss Ma'am is fire and I enjoyed that. So after that match backstage, we saw Pep Riley recovering from her match with Reina Del Rey, and she was sitting in a chair, kind of just, frustrated a bit with how everything went. But then Chainsaw, came through with Angelica Dante, and Angelica was trying to tell her that she has to, be in control of certain situations. But then Chainsaw sees Pep and just starts growling at her, and Angelica just pulls her away, as if to say, no, just leave her alone and just focus on what I'm saying. So that was interesting. Then backstage, we saw Abilene Maverick confronting Jessie Jones. And Abilene tried to keep Jessie from talking about the information that she might have on the beast and stuff. And she made a deal for another number one contender match with for Jessie Jones against Penelope Pink, which irritated me because I'm just like, girl, how many times do you need to be taught this lesson? How many times? But okay. So that happened backstage. And then they showed the mother truckers getting to the Fab Four mansion and preparing to, clean it up and everything. And then Lana Star answers the door. And tell me why Lana answered the door. And she had on this beautiful long pink dress that was all sparkly and everything. It was almost like she was getting ready to go somewhere, like to like a dinner or a ball or like a party or something. And I was just like, she looks so pretty. But why are you just sitting in your house dressed like this? Are you going somewhere? What's going on? But here again, Lana slays with her fashion. Um, and so she was making it seem like she didn't want the neighbors to see them coming in the house. And I was just like, girl, this is really giving slyway classism, and I hate it. But um, so now they're preparing to clean the mansion to pay off their debt, and that's what's going on there. So they then announced that this weekend we will be seeing Siren the Voodoo Doll and Chainsaw fight the Mother Truckers. So while the Mother Truckers are cleaning a mansion, they are still wrestling in matches, and we will see them in action this weekend on WOW. So prepare for that. So finally, we get to the promo leading into the main event involving Princess Aussie and Tormenta. Princess Aussie said, Sweet Heat, I really hope you're ready because you're not stepping into the ring with just any tag team. You're stepping in with two international powerhouses. And then Tormenta, in Spanish, said, Princess Aussie and I have been known to compliment each other in the ring, and it's time to finish off all of you. So, this leads into the main event, which was Tormenta and Princess Aussie versus Miami Sweet Heat for the WoW World Tag Team Championship. And because Laurie and Lindsey are natives of Miami, Florida, we do send them um, all types of good vibes in dealing with the weather and all the things that have happened with that. I hope that they are doing okay and that they are safe and sound and hunkered down in a good place because hurricanes are no joke. Um, and I just hope that the storm didn't, harm them in any way, shape, or form. So we just want to send them our best here on Steph and Cat Talk Wow. So Lana Starr's outfit that she came out with was really beautiful here again. It was like one had a leg, it's like her outfit had one leg cut off and the other leg was staying on, and she had on high heels. And here again, her abs were showing. And I'm just like, Lana, stop it. Just stop it. Stop the slay. Stop it. She had on this crop top with her abs out, and then she had on like these boots, and I'm just like, girl, I can't. So, after the slaying, Tormenta and Laurie were trading arm submissions with each other, and Tormenta's speed was definitely on display throughout the entire match. Aussie actually proved that she could hang with Tormenta as a tag team partner with her Hurricanrana. Their teamwork was on display with their frequent tags and a double clothesline to Laurie. They even hit a assisted Casadora leg drop and a baseball slide kicks to Laurie and Lindsey outside of the ring. Lana, of course, proceeded to get involved in the match and distracted Princess Aussie. Um, Laurie and Lindsey, of course, were yanking on Princess Aussie's arm as they tried to keep her away from Tormenta and keep them from tagging each other. But Princess Aussie kept fighting out of it, kept kicking out of their pins and stuff. But then, of course, there was a vertical suplex they even landed onto Princess Aussie. But then eventually, Princess Aussie was able to reverse the attempt of another vertical suplex and tag Tormenta in. And that's where Miss Menta decided that she was just going to destroy everybody in her sights and just started kicking and giving double knees to both the twins. And then Tormenta actually reversed a kick attempt into a driver for a 2 count. There were a couple times in the last finishing moments of this match where it looked like they could have won the titles. It was cool. And then Princess Aussie tagged in to hit her splash, but then she wound up hitting her cutter from down under. And then she went high again, but Lana Starr, the fabulous one, pushed Princess Aussie off the ropes, and then they covered Princess Aussie for the 1, 2, 3. And Miami Sweet Heat are still the WOW Tag Team Champions. And that was how this episode ended. So, sadly, our girls did not get the win this time, but they really almost did. Like, that was, I guess, a common theme in the tag divisions on both ends. You had Keta Rush and the Mighty Mites almost take the trios titles from top tier, and you had Miami Sweet Heat fighting tooth and nail and cheating to win to gain their titles again. So it was just bookended by tag team glory. So, Katrina, how did you feel about this match and the teamwork of Princess Aussie and Tormenta?
I thought this was a really good match. I was a little surprised when they said that they were like teaming for a tag title, because I'm like, well, is this is a team we kind of throw together here if they win? Like what is the plan if they win? Like, not saying that Princess Aussie wouldn't, like, I'm sure either one of them wouldn't have minded a title, but when you're throwing two people we haven't really seen really like have like a huge relationship to be champions, that could, if anybody knows wrestling and how it is throwing teams together, that might not always work, in that scenario. But with that being said, I thought they worked really well together. Like, very well. And I don't know if that just speaks to how good they are. That sometimes, some people can just go right and just kind of fall right into line. I don't know if I want to even say it like that, but like fall into place with a person they may not have worked with a lot. And I think they did that. With that being said, I also, like, I would have been nice, but I didn't think Miami Sweet Heat was losing. I did not. I felt like that was kind of all this extra took to you guys to make sure it kind of got back to the lair that is the Fab Fours. As Lana basically was saying, I didn't think that they would have lost it. I actually would have been very like, oh, okay, I'm shocked. That probably would have had me say something like online, like, oh, all right, you guys surprised me. You fooled me, because I didn't think they were losing. But with that being said, I still thought that Princess Aussie and Tormenta worked very well together. And like, I'm like, maybe we mind seeing you guys, see what you guys, if they keep them. I don't know what the plan is for both ladies. Like, are they going to try to keep the solo thing going? Are they going to just kind of give that a pause and refresh and reset? And if it means tag teaming together, just to kind of rejuvenate, if or decide what is next to them in WoW. And so, because both ladies had also had some shots at, the title. So I am curious to see what they do next, but I thought it was a fantastic match. And I thought, like, in particular that, not that Miami Sweet Heat doesn't work well together. They always do, obviously. But it was nice to kind of see, like, I'm like, all right, I'm keeping what's going on here, ladies, to see, if this, whatever happens with them going forward.
Yeah, it is interesting, how it turned out. Like, a part of me wanted to believe that maybe Tormenta and Princess Aussie could win. Like I really did want to believe it, but you are kind of right. When Lana is out there with her girls, she is definitely like prepared to do whatever it takes for them to keep their gold and everything. So maybe I was wrong to hope and believe in Princess Aussie, who is, one of my faves or whatever, and believe in Tormenta. But at the same time, they were working really well together. But you are right in the sense that we've only seen Tormenta and Princess Aussie tag with each other, maybe in two other matches before this, or if not one. So there is a level of bonding that they do have to do a little bit more in order for them, I guess, to work their way back up to that type of opportunity. But they were working well together. It's just that Laurie and Lindsey were definitely utilizing their tag team acumen because they have more chemistry due to the fact that, of course, they are twins and they've been tagging a lot longer. And then, of course, they're like I said earlier, they're willing to do anything to win, and that was definitely on display in this match. So yeah, Lindsay and Laurie, they're still the champions. And there's still so much more to look forward to when it comes to WoW in this new season, and I just can't wait. So, of course, we've reached the end of our time together. So, thank you guys so much for watching Steph and Kat talk WoW with us and just being on here with us. And thank you to the people who were in the comments and said hi or whatnot, especially you, Jock, with your eyeballs when we were talking about Gloria Glitter. It's okay. Um, so, of course, if you want to watch WoW and you want to figure out where it comes on for you on regular television with cable or whatever, you can go on wowe.com, type in your zip code and figure out, what channel it comes on for you. Of course, if you're in the Alabama area, it comes on my 68. Most of the time at 6 p.m. on Saturdays, if not preempted by any random sport that we have, because we have random sports down here. And of course, you can watch it on Pluto TV as well as Hulu, and also watch the matches as the week after they air on YouTube, and watch that 24-hour channel on Pluto as well as Samsung TV if you have that smart TV as well. And just continue to support women's wrestling in all of its different forms in the indies, on the mainstream shows, and also on WoW. And then once you finish doing that, you can come and watch us on Steph and Cat Talk WoW as we talk about it here on this post show. So thank you guys so much for supporting us. Subscribe to our things, subscribe to our YouTube channels and stuff. So Katrina, tell everybody where they can find and follow you and what you've got going on.
You guys can follow me on In Cat We Trust, the E to do in every place but Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Just kind of keep posted on my channel. I do have some spooky stuff coming for October. I know it's a little slacking with like everything this year, but it's mom stuff and life stuff, and so I feel like it's a lot. But I do have that out, and I'm actually going to have an interview with somebody I've had on my podcast before. There were times charm, I guess, and so that should be fun. So just kind of keep up on that by following my channel.
Awesome sauce. And of course, you can follow me, your girl Stephanie Hardy, on Instagram and Twitter at Queen Steph Hardy. You can follow the show, The Hardy Wrestling Podcast, on Instagram at Hardy Wrestling Podcast, and on Twitter at Hardy Wrestle Pod. And also just continue to be on the lookout for any new episodes that I might post and make public on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, and just so many other places. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, which is The Hardy Wrestling Podcast. And just continue to follow and support your girl. Read my articles on Daily DDT. There are so many there. I actually just celebrated my article versary because this week, a year ago, I wrote my first article with them, and it's been downhill ever since in a good way. So, so either way, just read all of my stuff. And just continue to support your girl. And also listen to my HWP Extra episode about my time in Atlanta for Bad Blood. I had a lot to say about a lot of things that took place. So just go and listen to that episode or watch that episode if you have not already. And I might be doing a new episode of The Hardy Wrestling Podcast tomorrow, because there's still stuff that has happened afterward that needs to be discussed as well. And of course, Jock, my love, was saying I was reacting to the Tekken reference. LOL. Oh yeah, because that's our game. We love to play that and fight because fighting games are my favorite. So Eddie was one of my favorite characters to play with in Tekken 7. So yeah, that's just what that's what Spice reminded me of in that match. So of course, this has been Steph and Cat Talk Wow, brought to you by the Hardy Wrestling Podcast and in Cat We Trust. And until next time, next week, we will have a regular episode. I'm claiming it now. Um, we will have a regular episode. And until next time, bye, y'all.